In this video, we're looking at the SUMIFS function. If you've already watched the SUMIF function, think of SUMIFS as its more powerful cousin. SUMIF allows you to add values based on one condition. SUMIFS allows you to add values based on multiple conditions at the same time. This is extremely useful when you're working with sales reports, budgets, inventory lists, or any data where you need to filter by more than one requirement. Let's jump in. As we start to build out our SUMIFS formula, we see that the very first parameter we have to put in is the sum range. This differs from the SUMIF formula, which required that the sum range went at the very end. With SUMIFS, you start by specifying the cell range that you want Excel to add together, and then after the commas, you then go into the criteria range and the criteria for which you want to evaluate whether to include it in the calculation. So let's find the sum for laptops in the West region. Firstly, in the cell we got started, we need to put in the column we want it to add up, remember. And so this can be column E. So we start with our range of E2 and then the colon down to E11. Now we add in a comma, and then we have to start putting in our criteria. So our first criteria range is the region. And so we start by putting in the region of B2 to B11, and then a comma, and then we specify what we want it to search for, which in this case we said was West. Then we do another comma, and then we have to put in a continuing criteria. In this case, we want to look for laptop products. So we go for C2, colon, C11, and then a comma, and then we type laptops. And then when we close paren, we'll then see that it gives us the result, in this case 6,000. Only rows that are both in the West region and with laptop products are included. Hard coding values works, but using cell references is usually the better way of doing formulas. Let's type West over in cell B13. And then in cell C13, let's type in laptops. These are going to be the two criteria that we want the search to contain. And then over in our formula, where we currently hard-coded West, let's remove that and remove the double quotes. And we're going to reference cell B13 instead. And then where we have laptops, we're going to do the same thing, and we'll reference cell C13. When we press enter, you notice the result stays the same. But now, let's change the region to be the East. And we notice immediately that that formula updates to show a new result of 2600. SUMIFS can handle more than two conditions. Let's now calculate Sarah's laptop sales in the West region. So in our existing formula here, we already know we have cell B13, which references the West region. And we already have cell C13, which references the product of laptops. So let's add in a comma after the C13. And then we notice if on the right side here, it's highlighting that we're now entering criteria range 3. So we can now start typing in the range which we want to be column A of the salespeople. So we'll start with A2, colon, A11, and then we add a comma, and then we specify the range we want it to search for of A13. When we then press enter, we see the result of 2600, which is all of Sarah's laptop sales in the West. We can take this a step further and we can add in a fourth condition. What if we just wanted to limit the search to the sales made in February? Well, we come up here and we type in February into cell D13, and then we're going to go over to our formula, and at the very end, after A13, we're going to add in another comma. And then we're going to type in our new search range. In this case, it's going to be D2 down to D11. And then we do a comma, and then we specify D13 as the cell with the reference in it. When we press enter, we notice the new value is now 1400. It's this line here is the only one that matches all of that criteria. There are a few common mistakes people make with SUMIF and SUMIFS. Firstly, make sure your ranges are the same size. You notice in this column here, everything is D2 to D11. This ensures that the search and the results are all coming from the same range of cells. Secondly, remember that the SUMIFS formula uses AND logic. If you specify West and laptops in your region, both of those criteria must match in order for the result to be counted. Thirdly, ensure that all of your text is typed consistently. Even a small typo can prevent matches from being found. And that's SUMIFS in Excel. It allows you to add values that meet multiple conditions, making it one of the most useful functions for reporting and data analysis. In this example, we filtered by region, product, salesperson, and month, but the same approach works for almost any dataset. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.